Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this lady's vest here. This is what it looks like. Okay, so it's not hard to do. And I'm going to show you how you can take measurements. And the size that I made will fit a size medium to large. It's I'm sizing it medium large. That's what I'm going to say that it's going to fit. If you want to make it like a large or extra large to 2x, you would just need to do another repeat of the repeat rows to make your panels wider and so forth. So it's easy to adjust the size that way. Now the length is where you need to figure out for yourself. Now you see me in the pictures. I am 5 foot 3 inches long, and you see where it goes on me. So I'm going to measure my piece. My piece measures approximately 35 inches. From my shoulders down, it's 35 inches. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit how it's put together so you'll understand how you need to figure out the length. Okay, so this is 2 panels. There's one here and there's one here. They are put together. Here's the neck opening. Each panel is made separately. So this is one panel. The length of your chain needs to be however long you want your piece to be. So the length of your chain is, as you can see from me, it goes to about to my knees, all the way up over my shoulders and back down to my bottom to where it ends. So it's a very long chain. Your beginning chain is very long. So even though it only measures 36 inches, mine, it's actually double that because I folded it, because it's folded in half, or it goes over your shoulder right here. So it's actually, your first beginning piece is actually the back and the front. I hope that makes sense. And then it's sewn along the side, and an armhole is left. I do tell you how you can make your sleeves bigger if you want to in the video. And here's the other side, done the same way. A really long panel, depending on how. You can make it shorter if you want. You can make it longer if you want. But your chain determines the length of your vest. So it starts here in the front. It wraps around and makes the sleeve. And it goes to all the way down the back. And then again, it's sewn together at the other side. And the armhole is left. And then once we get that done, we sew the back up, right? The 2 panels that we made, and then the back is sewn right up at the middle. And then we leave an area for the neck, which you'll see how that's done in the video also. And then we just clean up all the edges with some single crochet. You can add fringe or do whatever you want. Remember, I said this will fit at size medium large, and if you want to make it bigger, you would just for like size extra large to 2x, do another row of the repeat rows that I'm going to tell you, and so forth if you need to make it bigger than that. Some beads there, of course, those are optional, but it's really not that hard. Double crochet, shell stitches, single crochet, that's about it. I think you guys can do it. In fact, I know that you can do it. Trust me, I wouldn't say that you could do it if I didn't think that you could. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. Let's get started on this. Do you want to? Okay. So, first off, I need a new camera stand. Okay, so the yarn that I'm using is called a Lion Brand, a Low Tide. It's a chain spun, very airy yarn, which makes it very lightweight vest. It is a medium weight number 4, 81 acrylic and 19 polyester. It has a nice stretch to it also. That's because it is chain spun. Now you do not have to use this yarn. You can use any medium 4 weight that you have. 306 yards per ball. I used 5, but I didn't use all of 5, only some of the 5th one. I'm going to say you're going to need about, to make it the size that I made it, to fit medium/large at the length that I made it. For me, I'm short. I used about 1,300 yards of yarn. Now, any longer or any bigger, you know you'll need more yarn than that. But that's about what I made for mine. The color I chose is called Palm. I'm sorry. And then I'm going to be using my all-time favorite size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Okay, so remember I said the beginning chain will be the length of your vest. So this is a part that you need to measure. You need to make one huge long chain that's going to go where you want it to land in the front, over your shoulder, and where you want it to land in the back. I chained for mine 237 stitches. So your chain, whatever that might be, needs to be a multiple of 6 plus 3. Any multiple of 6 plus 3, however long you want it, just make sure you remember that it is going to be, it goes from your front all the way over your shoulder, all the way down, however long you want it to be, but a multiple of 6 plus 3. So I chained 237, and I'm going to show you on a smaller scale because I already have my big piece done. So once you get your chain amount chained, what you want to do is double crochet in the 4th stitch from the hook. Remember, we don't count the one that's on our hook. And double crochet into that 4th stitch. And now we're going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. Okay, once you make it to the end of the row, that will end row 1. Now the amount of stitches you have could be different than mine depending on the length that you did. But if you're following along with me, you're my size, you like the length of mine, you should have a total of 235 stitches at this point. So row 2 is going to start the repeat rows. So we're going to start row 2 off by chaining 1 and turning our work. Now we're going to work right back into this very first stitch, and we're going to single crochet into it like that. And now we're going to start the repeat of row 2. We're going to skip 2 stitches. So skip, and we're going to shell into the next. So a shell is 5 double crochets into the same stitch. So skip your 2, and in the next one we're going to work 5 double crochets. Then we're going to skip 2 stitches again, skip, and we're going to single crochet into the next. And that's the repeat. Again, we'll skip 2 stitches, skip, and in the next we shell, so 5 doubles into the same stitch. Skip 2, skip, and single into the next. Now we're going to repeat this pattern until we get to the end of the row. Skip 2 stitches, shell into the next. skip 2 stitches, and single into the next. So go ahead and repeat that until you get to the end of row 2. All right, I'm coming to the end here, and you should have, I just did a shawl, you should have 3 stitches left. This chain on the end counts as a 3. Go ahead and skip your last 2 and single crochet into that last stitch. Following along with me, you should have a total of 39 shells at the end of row 2. So now we're going to start row 3. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we're going to start off by putting a double crochet into this very first stitch here. Like that. Now what we're going to do is chain 2, and we're going to single crochet into the middle stitch of our next shell. So it's actually the 3rd stitch. So if you skip 2, skip, single crochet into that middle stitch. Then we chain 2 again, and we're going to skip 2 stitches, skip, and we'll be at the single crochet from the previous row. We're going to double crochet into that stitch. And that'll be the repeat now for row 3. Chain 2, and again we want to skip to the first 2 stitches of the shell and single into the next stitch, which is the middle stitch. Chain 2, skip those next 2 stitches of the shell, or the last 2 stitches of the shell, and down here you will be at the single crochet from the previous row. Go ahead and double crochet into that, and we're going to repeat this pattern until we get to the end of the row. Chain 2, single crochet into the middle of the next shell, chain 2, and double crochet down here into the single crochet of the previous row. And go ahead and repeat this pattern until you get to the end of the row. Make sure you chain 2 after every single crochet and after every double crochet. Alright, I am coming to the end of row 3. I single crocheted into the middle stitch of my last shell. I chained 2. Now I'm going to end by double crocheting into my last stitch. Now, following along with me, if you, at the end of row 3, if you're doing the same size as me, same length and everything, you will have 235 stitches, and that is counting every double crochet, every single crochet, and 2 stitches for each of the chain 2 spaces. So you count these as 2 stitches, and then every single and every double, you'll have 235. And that's what it starts to look like. So we're going to go ahead and continue on row 4. Chain 1 and turn our work. Now we are going to double crochet into the very first stitch. Chain 2, and double crochet into the next stitch, which is the single crochet. Chain 2, and double crochet into the next stitch, which is the double crochet. And that's the repeat for row 4. Very easy. Chain 2, double crochet into the next stitch, which is the single, chain 2, double crochet into the next stitch, which is the double crochet from the previous row. So now we're going to repeat this until we get to the end of row 4. Chain 2, pretty much you're chaining 2 and double crocheting into the next stitch. Chain 2, double crochet into the next stitch, and you want to repeat this until you get to the end of row 4. Alright, once you make it to the end of row 4, I double crocheted there in my last single crochet. I chained 2. Now I want to make sure I double crochet into the last stitch here on the end, which is a double crochet from the previous row. That'll end row 4 there. And again, if you count every double crochet in every chain 2 space, the chain 2 space has 2 stitches, you'll have 235. Okay, now we'll start round 5, which is the final round of our repeat. So we'll chain 1 and turn. And we're going to double crochet right back into this very first stitch. So right here on top of this double crochet from the previous row. And now we're going to work into this chain 2 space, and we're going to work 2 double crochets into that chain 2 space. So there's 1 and there's 2. And then we're going to work a double crochet into the next double crochet. And that's the repeat for round 5, or row 5. 2 double crochets into the next chain 2 space. I'm just going right through the space, 2 doubles. And then 1 double crochet on top of the next double crochet. Again, 2 double crochets into the next chain 2 space. And 1 double crochet into the next double crochet. And I am going to repeat that all the way until I get to the end of row 5. All right, I'm coming to the end of row 5. And here is my final chain 2 space. So I want to go ahead and work 2 double crochets into it. And I want to end by double crocheting into the top of the last double crochet. Following along with me, you'll have 235 stitches. That's the repeat rows. Rows 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for my size, regardless of how long you made it, the width needs to be for a size medium / large is what I made. You're going to need to do 17 rows, and that includes row 1. So you repeat rows 2, 3, 4, and 5 until you have a total of 17 rows. Now, if you want to do extra large to 2x, you would do another repeat of rows 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you'll have a total of 21 rows. So make sure you'll end on a double crochet row. If it looks small, don't worry. Remember, we have a back portion too. So in all essence, it will be doubled as what you see. So plus it's a little bit form-fitting around the waist. Not really that bad, but a little bit. So you continue until you get to the width that it needs to be. One more time, I'll repeat that. Medium, total counting row 1, 17 rows. You repeat rows 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's for medium and large. Size medium / large. Extra large, 2x, you repeat for a total of 21 rows. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, finish that, and I'll meet back up with you. All right, once you get both pieces made, now we're going to sew both pieces together, which I've already done, down the side separately. So this is one piece that I have sewn. There's my seam on the inside. Here's my seam on the outside. Nice and clean. I left the space for my arm, and I edged my arm with single crochet. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other piece. So I'm going to set this one to the side because it is primed. It's ready to be sewn together completely. But let's start with this one. Okay, so now you need to determine which way do you like the looks of it better. You like the looks of it where the shells are facing the wrong way, or you like to turn it over, and do you like the looks where the shells are facing the right way? It's really up to you. It's your garment. I like it where the shells are facing the wrong direction. As you can see, when you look at the shells, the double crochets of the shells they're facing the wrong way. But whatever, either way you like is fine. It doesn't matter how you sew it up. But since I like it this way, I have to sew it the wrong way. So here's the side I like, right here. I want this side to be the one that shows up. So I'm going to fold my piece like this. So now the wrong side is facing me. So whenever I flip my work inside out, this seam will be on the end. Whenever I flip my work on inside or right side out, the seam will be on the inside. So I want to make it, you want to make sure you crochet it together, or slip stitch it together in a way the shells are coming towards you, like both panels where the shells are, say, from your chest, they're going in towards your chest. Or if you want them to face the opposite direction, that's fine. Just make sure you sew up both sides to either where the shells are coming in towards you or the shells are going away from you. You don't want one going one way and one going the other. That would look kind of funny, but I mean, I guess you could do it if you want to. It's up to you. All right, so like I said, I'm going to be slip stitching mine together. So I want my shells, sorry about that, to be going in towards my chest area, stomach area, whatever. So I need to slip stitch mine. I'm going to start down here at the bottom. Here is where I first started my very first row. So I folded my piece in half. You can see vertical wise, it's folded in half. So what I'm going to do is slip stitch this together. And I'm going to leave a hole at the top for my arm. Now that's going to be different for every woman. You can determine how big of a hole you want to leave for your arm there. But I'm going to go into that first stitch there, and the first stitch on this piece. I'm going to pull my yarn through, and I am going to start by chaining one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the next stitch on my first piece, the next stitch on my second piece, so go ahead and look for it, make sure you get your right stitches, and slip stitch. And I'm going to go into the next stitch on the first piece, the next stitch on the back piece, and slip stitch. And I'm going to do this all the way up until I get, not to the top, until I leave enough area. What you have to do is you probably need to try it on to where your arm fits comfortably through there, because women's arms are different. Some are thicker, some are thinner. But however many inches you decide to leave, or however many, if you go by counting your stitches, whatever, you have to make sure you leave the same amount on the opposite side. There's no certain number of stitches, like stitch count, that you need to leave for the sleeve. It just needs to be equal to the other side, so that it doesn't look like one's bigger than the other. So on my sleeve, as you can see, I'm continuing up the side. On my sleeve, on my other piece, I'll show you here, I left an opening of 46 stitches around, which was approximately 6 inches. Now, bigger or smaller, it's up to you. If you're smaller in stature, you might need to, make it smaller. If you're larger, you can make it larger. Maybe you want this as a swimsuit cover and you want it to go way down here. However big you want your arm openings, it does not matter. You can determine that. Just make sure you do the same amount on both sides. So I will continue slip stitching this all the way up, and I will leave 6 inches on mine, or I counted my stitches. Actually, I left 46 stitches open for my armhole. And I'm going to meet back up with you once we get this sewn up, and then we'll take care of the arm, and then we will take care of the back, and then we'll be just about finished. Okay, I made mine all the way to the top, and like I said, mine was about 6 inches, but I did count my stitches, so I have 46 stitches here left, and 46 on my other piece. So what I did, I just went ahead and clipped that off, tied that, Now let's flip the right side out real quick. Now, seam, nice and clean. Nice, nice. Okay, let's go around the sleeve. So now we have the right side of our work facing us. So I'm just going to go around the sleeve with a row of single crochet. If you want to make a sleeve on yours, you can go around it with double crochet or whatever you want to do. But I'm just more of a sleeve than what it has, is what I'm saying. But I'm just going to go around to clean up the edge. So I'm going to start in the stitch that I just ended in. I'm going to pull through and chain 1, go back in and single crochet. And I'm just going to work around my entire sleeve, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch along the sleeve. And this is just going to clean up that edge. Since it was our beginning row, it kind of curls up. You see, this is going to straighten that out so it doesn't look like that. And like I said, if you feel like maybe making a longer sleeve on it, you know, you could always go around it with double crochets. That would look nice. Or, you know, be creative, however you think. Double crochet with a chain 1 in between, something like that, to kind of go with the pattern of the top. But for me, 1 row of single is all I'm going to do. So I'm going to continue around until I get back around to my starting point. I'm going all the way around the sleeve. Okay, I've made it all the way around to my starting point. You can see right here is my first single crochet. I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into it and flipping that yarn off, because I'm only doing that 1 row. If you want to do more, you go right ahead. And then I'm going to hide the tails. Here we go. So that's what it kind of looks like now. We got 2 pieces, exactly the same. Now, as you can see, here's 1 piece. I got my shells going towards my belly on this piece, and my shells going towards my belly on this piece. So I just wanted to make sure both pieces that the shells were going the same way. Like I said, it didn't matter which way they went, as long as they were going the same way. Now we're going to work on sewing up the back and leaving an opening in the back, kind of like a V a little bit for the neck. Okay, so now we are going to sew the back up. Okay, we're gonna do it. We're not gonna use a needle. We're not gonna slip stitch or anything like that. We're only gonna sew up 1 piece on. So here's the back. The front and the back look the same, so it doesn't matter which side that you use. Just make sure your shells are facing the correct direction on both pieces. So see, my shells are going in this way and then this way. We're only sewing up the front panels of each piece. So these back panels, or these panels down here, will be the front of our work, and they're going to be left open. So we're going to grab these like this. I'm at the bottom of my work, okay? Now, I'm going to be using my hook. I'm going to go into the first stitch on the first panel and grab my yarn, and I will chain 1. I'm going to go back into that same stitch and do a double crochet like that. And then I'm going to go over here to the next panel on the opposite side, this panel here, and I'm going to go into the last stitch on it and double crochet like that. Now I'm going to chain 1. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to skip 1 stitch on our first panel. So skip 1 and double crochet into the next. So I'm skipping this one and double crocheting into the next. And I'm going to go over here to my other panel. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to skip 1 and double crochet into the next. and then I'm going to chain 1. And that's what I'm going to repeat all the way, not all the way up until it fits up around upper neck. So, but quite a ways up. So again, I'm going to come over here to my first piece here, first panel, skip 1, and double crochet in the next. So I'm skipping and double crocheting into the next. Don't chain 1. Go to your next piece and do the same thing. Skip 1 and double crochet into the next piece. Now we chain 1. Let's do it again. We're going to skip 1 on our front panel and double crochet into the next. And then we go over to our next panel. We skip 1 and double crochet into the next. And then we chain 1. Again, come over here to our first panel, skip 1, double crochet into the next. Don't chain 1 yet. Come over here to your next panel, you skip 1, double crochet into the next. Now we chain 1. And then if we look at it, it makes like a little mesh design on the back, I guess. That's kind of how it looks like being sewed up. Kind of goes along with the mesh that we made in the right here. So I'll be doing this all the way up my piece, not all the way to the top, close to the top though, until, you know, I feel I'm going to keep trying it on until I feel like, you know, it fits around my neck okay. So let me work for a little while and I'll get near the top doing this little mesh way we've been doing it. If you prefer not to do it this way, you don't have to. You can always sew it together like normal. But I will keep working. Skip 1, double crochet in the next. Skip 1 on my other panel, double crochet in the next. And I'll let you know how far up I go and then chain 1 before I stop where I want my neck portion to start. So skip 1 on this panel, double crochet in the next. Go to your other panel, skip 1, double crochet into the next, and then you chain 1. One more time. Come over here to the first panel, skip 1, double crochet into the next. Go over here to the other panel, skip 1, double crochet into the next, and then we chain 1. So I'm going to keep on going and I'll let you know how far I get up before I stop. Okay, so I crocheted all the way up in that same manner until I had about 4 inches left here. Make sure your pieces are all lined up at the bottom. Everything is equal how it's supposed to be. And then I went to where, like I said, there was about 4 inches left on each side. Now that's going to be different from woman to woman, depending on your body size, how wide it is, how small it is. So my suggestion is you just try it on until it fits you, feels comfortable to you. Now once you get it as tall as you want it to be, you make your last stitch on the back panel. Do not chain 1. Just go ahead and tie it off. And then we can hide that tail. So that would be the back sewn up. And I have my little space up here. Now one last thing I'm going to do is go around the front. So I got lots of tails, don't I? Hanging everywhere. So my piece is sewn together. So this is what it looks like so far. I have my 2 front panels here. Right, here's one. Here's one. Here is the area that we left in the back. What I'm going to do now is I am going to start right down here, single crochet all the way up, 1 in every stitch. I'm going to go around the back here, single crochet across those double crochets that we made the sew the back up with, single crochet back up and back down the other side until I get to the bottom down here. And that will clean up those side edges. So that's what you want to do next. So you just start your yarn right down here in this first stitch and start single crocheting all the way up. And I'll tell you what, I'll meet you when I get up here to the neck area where we go across. Okay, so I've made it to the top of my work here. You can see here is where we were doing our double crochets to sew up the back. I got the front of my work facing me though. Here's the back right here. This is the right side of the back though. So I'm still single crocheting in every stitch, cleaning up these edges, and I'm getting ready to go across where we sewed together. So all I'm going to do is, I think, is just put 2 double crochets and just right through the first chain, or through this first space, and then I'm going to put 2 through the next chain space. I think that would be good enough, and then I'm going to continue working 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way down the other side of the front of my work. So the front panel here on the other side, cleaning up this final edge here, and I'm going to do this until I get to the bottom, to the end, and then I'll just tie it off. Okay, so I have hidden my tails, and one last thing I am going to do is, I did it already on one side, is make a braided tie for the front, and I put a couple beads on. These beads came off a paparazzi jewelry necklace. One of my friends says paparazzi. I don't wear jewelry, so I use the beads and stuff for bags and whatnot. So what you want to do is, well, this is what I did. You can actually put your beads wherever you want. I tried my vest on. I have all my tails hidden and everything. And I made mine go right up under my chest, my tie. Maybe like an inch under, something like that, my chest area. And I marked out both spots with stitch markers to make them equal, so they match up just right. And then I already took the stitch marker off and did this one. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Now, this is optional. You don't have to put these ties on here. But what I have is 3 pieces of my yarn, just 3 strands, probably about 2 feet long. Of course, you probably won't need near that much. And you want to go ahead, I tied it in between 2 double crochets right here along my stitch marker. So I'm going to go right in between these 2 double crochets and pull them through and tie a knot. Just a knot, like regular knot, like this once, and again. I'll hide the tails from the knot later, but for now, that's what I did. And now, like I said, I'll hide those later. I'm going to take these and I'm just going to do a simple braid. As you can see what I did. My braid is approximately 6 to 8 inches long. You make yours as long or as short as you feel fit to fit across your chest area. Like I said, if you want to add a button, you can add a button too. That would be something cool. You could single crochet a strap, a couple straps to tie instead of the simple braid like I'm doing. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Imagination, creativity. Remember, your brain is a beautiful thing. Don't waste it. Be creative. Imagine what you can do just with a piece of string. So as I mentioned, braid it like I am. Single crochet it. Put a button there if you want. Leave it plain if you want. Whatever you want to do. Buy leather strap, little leather straps. Use those. Just anything to make the vest your own reflection of yourself. So, of course, mine's gonna have beads and gold ones at that. So, anyways, just make your if you're following along with me, just make your ties about the same size. If thread your beads on there. Let me try to, you can see I'm just doing a simple braid. It's not even that noticeable, the braid isn't, but that's okay. Said you want to make them about the same size, so let me see if I'm there yet. I'm not quite, almost. Let me finish braiding until I get them to the same size. Okay, I got my ties pretty close to being the same size. Let me move that one over there. Oops, sorry about that. So I got my braid done here. What I'm going to do is tie it in a knot. Hold it there. Now I'm going to cut these off a little bit shorter. Not that way I can string my beads on it, and I don't want to string it so far down. So probably leave about 4 inches or so on it. Now if you're using beads, you want to make sure you use a needle thin, yarn needle thin enough that'll go through the head of your beads, or beads that have eyes on them enough that'll go through those 3 strands of yarn. Or you can just, you know, if you're using 1 strand or however you're doing it. But I'm going to go ahead and pull that up to the top of my knot there, and I'm going to put one more just for fun. That, and now I'm going to knot this down here. As tight as I can get it to the beads anyways. Then I am going to clip it off. I'll leave a little bit of a tail. I left like 1 inch here on this one, so I'll do the same for this one. Here we go. There we go. Now we need to take those tails up here and hide them. So I'm going to take one at a time and individually just weave them through the inside of the vest. That way they're not visible. And then we'll be done. After we hide all of our tails, we'll be finished. I hope you guys are able to follow along okay. I think it turned out pretty nice. It's not bad. Not much wearing crochet clothing, but if I was, this might be something I'd choose. If you're able to, you know, if you enjoyed this video, give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on all my videos. Any of them that I put on. Plus I have hundreds of crochet tutorials, all free on YouTube. Hundreds, I mean hundreds and hundreds. Anything you could ever want, I have, and I have multiples of it. So, you know, I do anything. Bags, baby clothes, baby blankets, anything of the sort. Don't forget to come follow me on Instagram, where you can show me everything that you crocheted. I'd really love to see a picture of it. This Bagoday Crochet on Instagram. I'll put a link to that below. Come follow me on Facebook also. And that's it. Until next time, have a good day and stay safe out there. Bye bye, everybody.